Evening. Today is Monday, October 23rd. Welcome to the Cranston City Council's regularly scheduled
Yes.
monthly October meeting. At this time, the clerk could please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Here.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campopiano,
Present.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Present.
Councilman Wall,
Here.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present. And if at this time, you can all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to God. Okay, first up on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I would ask for a motion to take the approval of the 3 sets of minutes as a block.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, I entertain a motion to approve the block.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to take the agenda out of order. I'm seeking to get the municipal clerk sworn in and on her.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, there being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. And now if we turn to page 3, election appointment of city officials. At this time, I'd like to proceed with the appointment of Miranda Botello as municipal court clerk for the term ending January 6th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to.
Second. Any discussion? All right.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yeah.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. And at this time, Ms. Botello, if you will do us the honor of coming forward and welcome. And the clerk will swear you in.
You have to stay with me instead? All right, I will do all the talking, then you can just say I do. You do solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful unto and support the Constitution of the United States, this state, and support the laws and Constitution thereof, and the Home Rule Charter and ordinances of the city of Cranston, and that you will well and truly execute the office of which you have been appointed, or until another be engaged in your place, or until you be legally discharged therefrom, so help you God. Yes. Right.
Thank you and good luck. Next, flipping back to page 2 at this time, I'd like to open the floor to public comment. First, we'll take public comment in chambers on any docketed matters. Please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes and please state your name and address for the record, and then we will go on to Zoom. If there's anyone in chambers that wishes to be heard on any docketed matters, now is the time.
Good evening. My name is Susan Blake. My address is 173 Grand Avenue in Cranston. I'd like to thank you for your time here tonight and also for the time to speak. I told you stories about my 26 summers at the pool. Here are some of the summer passes that my daughter and I were lucky enough to be able to afford for a few years. Mostly we paid cash at the door. Sometimes I had trouble affording a swim. Sometimes we had to wait to be let in due to the exceptionally crowded days. Sometimes we went on overcast days because it would be less crowded, but we went anyway. We always went. More than once, thunderstorms rolled in and we had to quickly leave, but we always returned the next day or the next week. I never told you that I come from a family of very strong swimmers. My aunt not only taught differently abled kids to swim at the Barrington Y for years, but she was also the head lifeguard at the Rhode Island Country Club for many, many summers. I am an avid swimmer, and I was also a lifeguard for a bit. And when my 4-year-old daughter balked at taking swimming lessons, I said, that's okay, I'll teach you. Not learning to swim was not an option. It was playing with death, and I knew that. This mayor has suffocated our only pool through neglect every single day that he's been in office. He has continuously said that it's beyond repair, it's broken, and it's too old. He has told us a story which was contrived using some baseless claims, faulted and disproven statistics about the pool and its capacity to hold water. My God, it's practically full right now. Yet the lower lying baseball diamonds and fields on the same property are not similarly inundated. In physics, we learn that water seeks its own level. If one part of a watershed property is holding nearly 1 million gallons of water, and yet the surrounding wetlands are dry, then it's not groundwater. It's rainwater, and it stays in the pool. Duh. No evidence of leaking, ever. Think about it. He hasn't done a single thing to maintain the pool since he took office. Nothing. And that should enrage you the way that it does me. We've brought you truth in public documents and facts about the way this administration has gaslit you with twisted words, half-truths, vague answers, and flat-out lies. We've brought you the signatures of thousands of residents who are now looking to you and 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 asking for an independent evaluation of Budlong Pool before bulldozing. Why replace it if you don't have to? And possibly save the city essential ARPA funds. But when I look at your faces, your eyes tell me everything I need to know. It reminds me of the phrase, I understand what you're saying. I'm simply not interested. But and I reject how this administration operates with regards to something which alters the lives of 83,000 of us. It's all done behind closed doors. There's zero genuine community inclusion in the process, and that's a bad look. It also perpetuates having the top person not representing the city, but instead doing whatever he wants without the spine to entertain the possibility that maybe he's wrong. You understand what I'm saying. The question is, how little do you care? Thank you.
Okay, there being no one else in chambers who wishes to be heard, Tom, is there anyone on Zoom on any docketed matters who wishes to be heard this evening?
Tom Wojcik.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't make it there personally this evening, and I want to just say that I appreciate the comments just made by Susan Blake, which echo a lot of my sentiments. So I guess I'll take it to a kind of a different angle. I remember many years ago when the mayor was a city councilman, and I gave testimony a number of times on various issues. Many times I would look over at him and he would be scrolling on his phone. One time, it was so irritating that I called him on it. He quickly put his phone away and listened. I should have known then that this would be his style. But he doesn't listen. He has his own agenda, and he only listens to the people that he wants to. The credibility of his office, his staff, and also the credibility of this council is at stake. Everyone in Cranston, even those that have been vaguely associated with the pool issue, if you stop and talk to them, they know about it. They know about the duplicity, and they're angry. I was walking on the Patuxent River Trail the other day. I met a woman. We stopped and talked about how there are some issues with that area and what might be happening. And she brought up the pool. And I said, well, I have been involved with that. And she said exactly the same thing. She said, I feel let down by the mayor and by our council. Politicians just don't care. They just don't listen. So yes, there's a pool at stake, a historical pool. It means a lot to a lot of people. But even more important is the credibility of the council and the credibility of the mayor. Nationally, we are facing huge issues about credibility. Who do we believe? Who do we trust? And the council has fallen into the same trap. If the council has the ability, it should demand that an independent evaluation be done. We should clear that topic. And after we know for sure, and it's validated about the status of the pool and what can be done, if the mayor still wants to go ahead, let him go ahead. But it's unfair to all of us to not do that. Thank you.
Joe Gabriel.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, and just as a reminder, if you can please state your name and your address for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Joe Gabriel. I live at 62 Freehold Avenue. I am a Cranston resident for almost 50 years. Grew up in Eden Park with my working middle-class father, stay-at-home mom, and I'm one of 4 siblings, all of us having spent pretty much all of our childhood summers at the Budlong Pool. I have, humbly but confidently speaking, had a generally good and long career in business, with career steps managing sales and expense budgets in the hundreds of millions of dollars, partnering and negotiating with companies ranging of all sizes, from probably 2/3 of the Fortune 500 clients to local mom and pop small businesses. And with all this responsibility at times for also the well-being and company contributions of thousands of employees. With this intro as a baseline for my credentials, I would like to strongly, publicly support the current Budlong Pool proposal, and now the steps in the execution of such a proposal, which is having the construction out to bid. I came to this conclusion based on what was presented by the administration with the help of Weston and Sampson on September the 6th. Before any other unfounded implications of fishiness are made, I do not work for, have a personal or business relationship with Weston and Sampson. However, up through present day, and as it relates to this matter, they are, in my opinion, the primary, if not sole, expert opinion on this matter. What I saw on September 6th, I likened to my diverse experience in the business world, which was a well-prescribed, expertly based, and well-delivered finalist presentation. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's when a client or company comes in and makes its last attempt, the last attempt, to close the sale. And it better be good or they walk out without the contract. Well, their presentation on the 6th was very good. It was convincing, it was forthright, and they are a company with an impressive countrywide historical book of business. There is nothing left to learn from any other authority in this matter based on their credentials and what has been presented. Yet despite having established that, we continue to see this proposal being portrayed in the most negative light by opponents. Examples: it isn't, quote, exactly what everyone wants, using a 2,000 signature petition in a city of 80,000 people to support that comment. Second, concerns that the capacity of the current proposed pool won't be enough to handle the load, despite any data shared that this would generally be a non-issue. Guess what? Sometimes there's a line at the McDonald's drive-thru, but because McDonald's doesn't build their business model to where the absolute highest peak demand is, because it wouldn't be cost effective. Then some of my other favorites: you can't properly teach people to swim in 4 feet of water. Socking. Publicly calling an 8,000 square foot pool the mayor's miniature pool. Next, desperate attempts to link Weston and Sampson to some sort of sweetheart insider deal. Note that they've only been paid to do the assessment and not the construction, though of course they'll have the opportunity to bid on that construction later on. Or the attempts to gaslight this matter, and in an incredibly disappointing display, aligning with it with one of today's countrywide hot button political talking points, race, inexplicably and sadly referring to YouTube videos that speak to alleged racism in closing bigger public schools, primarily in the South and back in the 1960s and 1970s. It certainly seems like the opposition is certainly not very interested in facts or common sense or reasonable compromises. Oh yeah, we heard about compromises at last month's meeting. There was an exhilarating presentation explaining to all of us what exactly the definition of a compromise was. Then there was the clincher of the pool resolution itself, craftily crafted by the compromising Democratic Majority Council. Mind you, this is an official resolution to the city council meeting, becoming a permanent record of the city, and included all of the following compromising verbiage. Line 40, an accusation of illegal activity to start an official city council resolution. Line 44, an official city resolution calling out a failure. Line 58, stating that one side had an overwhelming sentiment of opposition to an earlier version of a resolution. This was an opinion and not a fact. There are plenty of Cranstonians in favor of the current resolution. Heck, folks, with compromising friends like this, who needs enemies? I reaffirm support to continue moving forward, and I support that with the following bases in conclusion. The one thing that should no longer be compromised is
Excuse
our
me,
kids.
Mr. Gabriel, you're well over your 4 minutes. So if you could please just wrap it up in the next 15 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you. The one thing that should no longer be compromised is our kids, our families not having a pool again next summer. How this all got to this point is a matter for another day. As such, let's agree that any further delays are going to prevent a pool from opening as soon as possible, hopefully, seeing this is almost November for next year. Thank you.
Sam Brusco.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm Sam Brusco, 11 Alhambra Circle. Let me see. I've been in the home remodeling and building industry for over 20 years. I've been remodeling my own house for the last 11 years. And if I were to tell my wife, hey, I got a great plan for our 2,000 square foot house. It's going to cost us $5 million, and I'm going to reduce it down to 600 square feet and with 5-foot ceilings. Where would I be living tomorrow? Because that's the way I feel about the mayor's plan for the pool. He just has not involved the rest of the city with his plan until last month. And then he kind of jammed it down everyone's throat and said, here's the plan. That's not the way it works in government. He claimed to be a statesman last month. I've never seen a politician not willing to even listen to his constituents. I mean, at least go, yeah, yeah, and then turn around and say, no, that's the way it's supposed to be, at least. But he doesn't even do that. So I'm very disappointed in the mayor. And I think we do need an independent assertion of the pool's condition and where to go next. I'm not saying we may not end up close to what the mayor wants, but a 5-foot pool that's tiny, starts out at 0, that just ain't it. It's not what Cranston needs. I don't know how he came to that conclusion. Thank you very much.
Alice Patron,
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Alice Patron, 24 Bretton Woods Drive. I couldn't be there in person tonight, so here I am on Zoom. Listening to the man from Freehold Avenue. I don't know, I guess he hasn't gone to a lot of meetings. I think the proposal that was presented on September 6th and the pictures of the hose that was there is interesting at best. The fact that they were there at the pool doing an assessment for a matter of a couple of hours and then base their plan on this is disturbing. As a real estate professional of many years, involved in new construction, involved in building rehab, involved in commercial real estate as well as residential, this is not how a project goes. This should be, there should be, I think, another independent investigation. I understand that the council put no limitations on the monies for the pool. Hoping that the mayor would act in the best interest of everyone, which he has not. The fact that Councilman Donegan reached out for weeks in early September and late August, attempting to get answers from the mayor and couldn't even get a return phone call, but mysteriously, Councilwoman Renzulli got all the information from the mayor and sought to make it part of the record at last month's meeting, which is well and good. But you respond to everyone, not just people in your own party. The citizens of this city deserve better than this. And I'm glad that the council isn't just sitting here and accepting all of this. How much of your hands are tied, I don't know. But I really think, and I agree with other people here tonight, that there should be another independent assessment before anything moves forward. If it means that the pool doesn't open next summer, so be it. But I think we owe it to the citizens of this city to see that we get another opinion. And I guess that's all I have to say on the matter. I thank you, council members, for all your hard work.
I see no other public comment.
At this time, public comment on docketed matters is now closed. Next on the agenda, also in the section of election appointment of city officials, we have 2 other matters. First up, we have the appointment of Robert Santuri Jr. to the Tax Assessment Board of Review as alternate 1 for the term ending January 28, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I didn't say which kind, so tell me.
Motion to approve.
Thanks. Still seconded?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next up is the reappointment of Elizabeth Bettis as alternate 1 to the Juvenile Hearing Board for the term ending December 1, 2024. But before we take a motion, to the clerk. Is that a reappointment or an appointment? I don't believe that she's currently on there.
It is a reappointment. You appointed her last month, but
Okay.
it was only for the current term, which expires December 1st of this year. So this is to take her for the next year.
Next year? Okay, got it.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, on page 2, we'll go to the resolutions. First up, Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution was proposed 2 years ago, and I want to reiterate the need for us to remember where we come from. So there is this saying that a lot of people are immigrants, but unless you are Native American or a descendant of enslaved people, we are all immigrants in the United States. And to really emphasize the importance in the contribution of immigrants who we are in the United States, that's why in 1987, the United States Congress recognized National Immigrants Day on October 28th. So, and I think as an immigrant myself, and it is really a duty to really not let this date go unnoticed. And that's why I propose this resolution, and I hope we can all celebrate and recognize as the date of October 28th as National Immigrants Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jermaine. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Council Vice President Vargas.
Thank you. As daughter of immigrants, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. Councilwoman Jermaine, thank you for bringing this to the forefront. We're definitely a melting pot. This country wouldn't be where it is today without many of us coming together and moving the country forward. So thank you for bringing this up in the
Absolutely,
forefront.
absolutely.
Councilman Donegan.
Echoing the sentiments of Council Vice President and appreciative of the resolution brought forth, as well as the contributions of all immigrants in our community, especially my neighbor right here and good friend. And I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Absolutely.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor as well, and I fully support the resolution. Thank you.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you. If Councilwoman Jermaine will have me, I would like to also be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
No problem.
Councilman Wall.
Please add me as a sponsor if that's okay as well. Thank you.
Anyway, Councilman Ferry.
All in,
Councilman Campopiano as well.
if allowed.
Of course, no problem.
Okay, all right. And me makes 9. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for choosing the United States as your home in Cranston. And thank you to many of our families, including my parents and grandparents, for making that decision as well. All right, if you can please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Council President Marino.
Yes. Next this evening is a resolution standing in support of Israel and against acts of terror.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This resolution this evening is in recognition of the atrocities that have occurred on October 7th to innocent civilians. And in this resolution, we are looking to stand in support of those innocent victims. I have heard from many people in our local community as well, affected by this, and has touched all of us, I'm sure, as well. These awful atrocities, and our thoughts and prayers go to all of those victims, regardless of their ethnicity, to all those innocent victims, and to the hostages currently. We keep them in our thoughts and prayers as well. Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to be added, and also I would like to make, I don't know, an amendment, add something if I may.
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, so at the last, where it said now therefore be it resolved that the Honorable Queenstown City Council condemns senseless and horrific acts of terror in Israel. I would like to add and in Palestine and everywhere in the world.
If you'd like to make that motion, is there a second?
I'll second it. I'll second it for discussion.
Council Vice President Vargas seconded that. Yep.
Councilwoman, would you mind just rereading how the whole paragraph would read with the amended with the proposed amendment?
Now therefore be it resolved that the Honorable Queenstown City Council condemns senseless and horrific acts of terror in Israel, in Palestine, and everywhere in the world, and stand in support of the innocent who are unnecessarily suffering as a result of such terrible, inconscionable acts.
If I may, to Councilman Jermaine, I would be agreeable to it saying acts of terror in Israel and throughout the world. I think that encompasses the purpose that we're against acts of terror, and it doesn't diminish the atrocities that occurred on October 7th. So I'd be
That's
okay with
fine.
that. Okay, all right,
That's fine.
okay. I'll second that, or, okay, we good? Okay, all right. Any other discussion? Council Vice President Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. I'm not sure if I'm in my right to do this, but given the sensitivity, I would like to know if we can actually moment of silence, actually enjoying many organizations across the world for victims of Israel and this terror attack that is currently happening.
Sure. At the previous full council meeting, we did do a moment of silence,
I
but,
was,
but,
I was not,
yep, okay.
but refrain from doing the moment of silence. And I see that I think all of us are added as co-sponsors, so I'll let that move forward. Not a
Okay.
problem. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks. Yep. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you, Madam President. This hits close to home to some of my family, and I want to thank the council president for bringing this forward and everyone else for signing on as co-sponsors. I think it's a testament to our unwavering commitment to promoting peace, tolerance, and cooperation, both at home and abroad. And I'm hoping that all the hostages on all sides will be released soon. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Councilman Poplawskis.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I hope that cooler heads prevail. We're living in really tough times right now. We talk about terrorism in this resolution, and the farther we get from 9/11, the closer it feels like 9/10. So I really hope that cooler heads prevail and we can stop the violence. Thank you.
Okay, no one else at this time. If, Tracy, if you can please take the roll on the motion to amend.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. And now at this time, if we can have a motion to approve the resolution in its entirety as amended.
Motion to approve as.
Okay, and any discussion, Councilwoman Jermaine?
thank you, Council President. I want to say thank you for agreeing to include this because the act of terror that is happening in Israel is happening in so many countries around the world. Sometimes we don't pay attention or the mainstream media don't show them, but there's so much happening. So when we include to around the world, that means a lot for me. Like back in my motherland home, what is happening is undescribable. So thank you for agreeing to include every other places in the world.
All right. There being no other discussion, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next up is reports of committees. And I will give the floor over to Councilman Donegan as Chair of Finance.
Thank you, Council President. There are several items from the Finance Committee before us this evening. The first is consideration of tax interest waiver approvals for the month of September 2023, as requested by the City Treasurer. This passed out of committee, and I would urge passage this evening. Motion to approve.
second,
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next, we have resolution authorizing real estate tax abatements as recommended by the tax assessor. This passed out of committee, and I would urge passage this evening. Motion to approve.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Lastly, we have resolution authorizing tangible tax abatements as requested by the tax assessor. This passed out of committee, and I would urge passage this evening. Motion to approve.
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes,
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Thank you, Councilman Donegan. Next this evening, Council Vice President Vargas, as Chair of Ordinance Committee, if you can report from that committee.
Getting used to my progressive lens over here. Council President, yes, at the ordinance committee meeting that was held on October 12th, there was one item that is 2-23-04, ordinance and amendment of chapter 15 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Buildings and Construction, Lead Safe Homes, sponsored by Councilman Donegan, co-sponsored by Councilwoman Jermaine, as amended by the ordinance committee on October 12th. This passed unanimously, and I urge passage.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Donegan.
Thank you. The only thing I'd just like to, well, first, I'd like to thank everyone for passing this at committee. This has been quite a long process through different iterations of this ordinance. So I appreciate the support in committee. I appreciate all the people from the members of the public that helped work on this, the One Cranston Health Equity Zone members of the Housing Commission, other people in the public, members of this body, Solicitor Angel, Solicitor Verdecchia, for their work on this, and from comments from the public that I think helped refine this ordinance. So thank you. I hope that through enforcement of existing code, through education of the issue, and through elimination of lead service lines, we can hopefully eradicate the lead issue in our city and throughout other communities. So I appreciate the support in this. I hope that we can pass this unanimously. And for anyone in Ward 3 listening, if you do get a letter about lead service line replacement from Providence Water, yes, it is free, and yes, you should sign up to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Donegan. Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. And I want to thank Council Donegan, even though I co-sponsor this, you're doing the most job, well done. So this is, as I mentioned last time, it's really overdue, and the majority of people who will benefit from that are those who really do not have a voice. And we are here to be their voice, to protect them, because often it's not, sometimes it's not the fault or the homeowner, but it's mostly sometimes it's a matter of, understanding and knowledge on how it is dangerous for people who have their houses with lead, and how it is dangerous for our children. So I think this is a really great path toward making changes and securing safety for our children. So thank you, and I really urge passage tonight.
Any other discussion from council members? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. And next is report from the Claims Committee, Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. For the report we have, we know Claim Committee always meet at the executive session. So we did have take the vote at the executive session, but at this time there is no vote to be taken today. Thank you.
Thank you. While we do have some matters from the executive branch, Director Moretti had represented to me this afternoon that he is at a competing meeting being held by a couple of a state senator and state rep. I'm dealing with Mechanicat, and he should be here shortly. So for that reason, I'm going to skip over the executive communications at this point. And do we have someone here from the Rhode Island Department of Secretary of State's office okay, we do. Okay. Why don't we go to page 4 under my Council President Communications, and Mr. Edwards, if you'd like to do the presentation now, that would be great. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, Mayor Hopkins, Vice President Vargas, and the honorable city council members. My name is Nick Edwards from the Rhode Island Department of State. I'm here on behalf of Secretary of State Greg Amore and the Rhode Island Semi-Quincentennial Commission, say that 5 times fast, or also known as RI 250. I'd also like to welcome RI 250 Commission member Steve Frias, who's our treasurer, as well as State Representative Art Handy and Barbara Ann Fenton Fung, who is on her way to express support. So in 2026, our nation is set to mark the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. For some, this will elicit memories of the excitement associated with the bicentennial of our nation that was here in the 1970s. I'm here today to bring attention to the role Rhode Island played in the founding of our nation and to this tremendous opportunity for each community across our state. As we know, the true spark of the American Revolution was right here in our backyard with the burning of the HMS Gaspee. Thank you for having us here today in Cranston to promote the creation of local 250th committees. The RI 250 Commission, since established in September of 2021 by the General Assembly, has been charged with developing ways to recognize and honor the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Additionally, the commission was enacted to promote Rhode Island tourism, spur economic development, and boost K-12 education pertaining to the American Revolution. The RI 250 Commission likes to consider ourselves a clearinghouse, and we want to lift up the hardworking historical and tourism organizations throughout our state. So a little bit more on RI 250. The mission of the RI 250 Commission is to commemorate the 250th anniversary of our nation, the events throughout history in which Rhode Island has influence on our largely forgotten role in the founding of our nation. Most notably, our contribution to the ideals of freedom, equality, and independence. We at the Commission are most excited to help facilitate a statewide and years-long multifaceted commemoration of this great milestone. We intend to engage as many Rhode Islanders as possible and believe the next natural step is to organize at the municipal level. One of the duties of the RI 250 Commission is to collaborate with local organizations to promote the pivotal role that Rhode Island played in the founding of our nation. Therefore, tonight we would like to invite Cranston to organize a local 250th committee to encourage public participation in events that highlight Rhode Island's diversity. Lauren Fogarty, the RI 250 program coordinator, has shared a pamphlet with more information with City Clerk Tracy Nelson. This information will be helpful if the city decides to create a local committee. We also have a suite of resources that we've been creating and distributing throughout the state. I use create, however, if the city is interested in pursuing this effort, there may be a way to take a group that is already formed and add this to their mission. We work closely with the Gaspee Days Committee, the Patuxent Rangers, as well as been in communication with the Cranston Historical Society. To provide a brief example, for instance, this year, South Kingstown has been celebrating their 300th anniversary. The programming, academic resources, and public engagement have been significant. The town has marked this unique milestone with a lecture series on the town's history, but even bonfires and elevated regular events such as their annual Arts and Culture Festival and River Fire. In the coming months, the town will install a 14-foot sculpture designed by the influence of their history and identity as a community in their town center. Commemorative events like the semi-quincentennial can bring communities together and promote a sense of identity. Secretary Amore is committed to ensuring the RI 250 Commission assists all municipalities in Rhode Island with their local committees. For instance, we've partnered with local municipalities most recently to host pop-up state archives exhibits and throughout local events throughout the communities. And then finally, this brings important municipal founding documents to events throughout the state. It gives us a strong opportunity to do that. For example, tonight I've brought some copies. For instance, I have an act dividing Providence incorporating Cranston, which was incorporated in 1754. I have a document, the votes of the freemen of Cranston from 1788, as well as a petition to change the town lines between the years of 1888 and 1895. And finally, I've also brought the Cranston's bicentennial decal from 1976. As we approach the semi-quincentennial, our state archivist thought it would be important to bring. So finally, again, this is an example of the type of displays that can be curated at a Cranston 250 event, coordinated with Secretary Amore, the Department of State, and the State Archives. In addition, Secretary of State Amore hopes to coordinate projects with each municipality, including evergreen ones like the planting of red maple trees, that we hope to call Liberty trees, throughout our state and each municipality in a prominent location. Therefore, in conclusion, I come to you today to urge and encourage this council to make a resolution to create a committee to mark this milestone. I encourage all the honorable members of the council, as well as the mayor's office, to visit our website at www.rhodeisland250.org. Follow us on social media and join us on this journey as we approach our nation's semi-quincentennial in 2026. And I'm not sure if before I conclude, Steve has anything to add? Or Representative Handy?
Funny, I'm at the age now where I look around like people older. So, because I was born in 1967, I'm 56. I think most folks are younger than me, but and I can just really remember the energy and enthusiasm in 1976 and how excited people were. And I thought it was such a great opportunity for civic engagement and really building an appreciation for that point in our history. So I'd urge us to take advantage of this. Thank you.
Hi, Steve Frias, 107 Garden Hills Drive. Basically, I think this is a great thing to celebrate our 250th anniversary. I remember I was 4 years old at the time and I got a coloring book and I really loved coloring all the things and I became like I really loved my country. You guys were talking about immigrants. My parents are immigrants. So that was a great way for me to feel connected to my country. And then when you talk about the local committee, I think you guys should establish one. I would just say you could probably have the mayor, have some appointees, the city council, have the school committee involved, have the board of trustees at the library and the Cranston Historical Society. Certainly, I'll be available if you ever need my assistance with anything. Cranston has a wonderful history about the 250th in regards to American independence. Everyone knows the Rochambeau Trail comes through here. It was those forces that walked all the way, came down to Yorktown that won the war in the end. We also had the Patuxent Rangers, who were an early troop, and we actually provided some of the iron that was used by our colonial forces for our independence. So we do have something to celebrate, and I hope the city council and the mayor and everybody can get together to celebrate this. That's my 2 cents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rep. And Madam President, just in conclusion, if I may leave some of these documents with you to distribute to members of the council?
That'd be wonderful. Thank
All
you.
right,
Yep.
great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah. I want to thank you, Mr. Edwards. Thank you to Mr. Frias and former Rep. Handy as well for giving us information this evening. I've spoken with the administration, with Director Moretti, and we do both see that the Cranston Historical Society and Commission should take the lead in this, and we're looking forward to having different integral participation from community members and from department heads, such as our libraries, who have great resources and outreach to the community to help with events. I don't know if Director Moretti, if you want to say anything before I take additional comment.
Sorry, just to say we did concur
Yep.
in exactly what the council president is saying. Obviously, the mayor, the administration, council president, council be more than happy to work together with the community and very much appreciate the presentation.
And any council members to this point? Council Vice President Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. I want to thank Nick for being here this evening. I had the pleasure of working with Nick when I was a Deputy Secretary of State here in Rhode Island. A lot of great work. And I also want to thank the board members that are involved with the 250th. We've definitely done a lot of partnership. Definitely starting at least with last year when I worked for that office. And there was a lot of partnerships even here in the city of Cranston. There was the archives office that actually ended up partnering up with our local schools in celebration of the Gatsby as well. And working a lot with our educators. I think there was about 40 educators that actually ended up using some professional development to go to the tall ship and visit the Oliver Hazard Perry. That was quite an organization coming together to make sure that that happened. And so given the fact that, we have the Gatsby right here in our backyards. I don't know if Representative McNamara ever found the Gatsby, because I know he was in search for that. But I know that I can say this is very proudly that, we're one of the 13 states, 13 colonies, and in the in fact, that we actually have a parade also back in our backyard here with the Gatsby Parade. When we have that committee, we should also be chatting about possibly even having both of our schools. This is a conversation that comes up came up at the last 250th last year at one point, I think, or maybe with the former Secretary of State, making sure that our during that committee, maybe we can chat of having the high school bands. It always falls on high school graduation here in the city of Cranston, so they're never able to participate in our Gatsby celebration. The 250th, is July. I'm sorry, it's in 2026. So I'm hoping that we can actually add that to the agenda when there's conversation amongst the council or the city with whomever is going to be involved in the actual committee. So happy to be involved in any shape, way or form to make sure that there's representation on the city side. Thank you.
Any other council members? Councilman Donegan.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation and for the work that everyone involved is doing. I just want to say, I appreciate everything that the Secretary of State is doing to lean into local history and civic engagement with both educators and students of all ages on this. It's a great way to get young people excited about history through the lens of what's going on locally. And the Secretary of State's office has done a phenomenal job at making sure that those resources are available to teachers and the community. So thank you. And obviously I support the forming of a committee.
Any other council members? Okay. All right. Moving on, I can wrap up my council president communications. Next, I have on the Rhode Island Veterans Food Donation Drive in support of Operation Stand Down of Rhode Island. I will be doing this again commencing on November 14th until the end of the month, until November 30th. I look forward to partnering with the libraries, the fire department, and the police department in getting those donations. And hopefully I'll be able to fill up 2 of my husband's pickup trucks and or my SUV once again. And I would encourage everybody to do what they can. I know times are difficult for many. I know it's greatly appreciated because there are a lot of people in need, in the weeks, months, and cold winter up ahead as well. And if people want to donate directly to Operation Stand Down, I'm sure that is greatly welcomed as well.
Council President, do you mind
Sure.
sharing if you have a flyer or graphics? That way we can actually share on social media the initiative you're putting forward? All
Absolutely.
right,
Yep.
great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Right. And next, we will have the executive communications now that Director Moretti is joining us. First up, we have legal expense analysis for the period of July 1 to October 17 of 2023. Do we have any discussion on that agenda item this evening? No questions, no discussion. Next, we have on the agenda, Planning Director Pizzullo, status report on the comprehensive plan. Does the administration have anything that they would like to say as to that? Oh, is he here? Oh, there you are, Director Pizzullo. I didn't see you. Sorry. Please do. Yes, yep. I got so used to the past. Thank you for joining us.
Did you receive the report late last week?
Yes, I received the email of October 19th. We all did, I believe, through the clerk. Is that what you're referring to, Director Pizzullo?
Right.
Yes.
Not a ton to report at this point. We're working with a consultant. We're going to be working on some public outreach through an interactive website. So the Plan Commission is working on some of the language in that. Be talking about that on Wednesday. But after that, it should be live fairly soon. So the public will be able to go onto a website with some maps, able to drop pins and leave comments from a number of things. traffic problems or preservation or housing or all kinds of anything that they really want to put on the record. So that's going to be taking place. We're shooting for public hearing on this with a charrette style public hearing, probably late in January with the consultant and the plan commission. Of course, the city council is invited to attend. It's January, so we're gonna have to pick some dates and some snow dates. So we're well away from that. So we'll have more news on that. And in the meantime, we'll be working with the consultant on drafting the plan elements, and when they're ready, you'll start seeing them. So
Any council members for discussion? Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you. Just wanted to ask the director, the map with where you can drop pins, is that something that maybe since we already get it, that we keep going forward? Or no, because we're already paying for it? Because it's just a good, I think I suggest things like that often where people can comment and show, we could go with
that's a
the
good question.
overnight parking, this type of
That's a good
technology
question.
stuff.
I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I don't think it's proprietary, but I will talk to the consultant about that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion, comments from council members? All right. Thank you very much, Director Pizzulo. We greatly appreciate the update.
Thank you all.
Oh, Council Vice President Vargas, Director Pizzulo, sorry, I got to bring you back. Council Vice
I'm
President
sorry.
came up with a question or comment.
I apologize. So curious, when we go around into the different wards, when we get to that point to get some input, will you be able to, they're filmed, correct? They're on video, they're zoomed?
Good question. I hadn't really thought about that yet, but possibly, the different venues we go to don't have the whole setup, so we can talk about that.
Okay, because if they're not, I'm just wondering, in the meantime, would you be able to, how do we follow up in terms of getting what kind of questions or just a summary of how, I know there's one too many, but I'm just curious just to get a summary as to how each meeting went? If
Well,
it's not
yeah,
being
we
videoed?
can, the meetings will all have minutes. So they're public meetings, so we have to provide minutes. So is that what you're looking for? Yeah, those will all be posted online and will be publicly available. If we are able to film them, yes, those would be available on YouTube if we can figure that out in these different venues. The one we're talking about for January is probably Senior Center is the only one that really works for a charrette style. So I'm not quite sure we'd be able to film that because it'd be spread out and all, small tables of people discussing. So that's really doesn't lend itself to, really that type of recording.
My last question, and I can connect, is, given the community has been rapidly diversifying here in our city, in our country, our state, how do we make sure that we are in all-inclusive, we're having all-inclusive partnerships so that way we can get the word out to as many community members we possibly can. I know some cities end up using kind of like maybe the top 3 population in terms of like the last census, to let them know that we're having a comprehensive, we're working on the comprehensive plan update, and that we're asking them to get involved and provide us with their inputs, right?
That's
I'm
correct.
just trying to get a sense of like, how
Well,
doing
we've got a few months before this first large meeting like that, so we can certainly keep discussing that. I'm sure the consultant has some ideas since they've been doing this in various communities, so we'll discuss that with them. This phase of the rewriting of the comp plan is not going to have the robust public outreach because we just don't have the time, because we're trying to meet that 1-year deadline. So once we get into the second phase, then there's going to be much more of that, ward specific type of outreach and public meetings that we wanted to do. But this year, that's really not going to be a reality based upon what we have to do and what this updating entails. That's going to be in the next year or 2 years, really, we'll be getting into those type of meetings.
All right, thank you.
But yeah, we'll definitely have that on tap to discuss, moving forward.
Thanks, Director.
All right.
Thank you, Council Vice President Vargas. Thank you, Director Pizzulo, and thank you to the members of the Planning Commission. I know it's a volunteer board, and this is a big task, and we appreciate addressing this with the urgency that it requires. Next this evening is consideration of request from Assistant Chief Richard Mancini for 1-year continuation of service with the Cranston Fire Department for the period of October 16 of this year to October 15. Would the administration like to be heard on this?
Okay, thank you, Council President. Chief Mancini has fulfilled all the requirements for reappointment. Just would like to point out, since becoming Assistant Chief, he's done a terrific job, real diligent individual. And I'm sure President of the Firefighters Union can attest to that. He's done a great job, shows great enthusiasm and great care. And certainly the administration requests the continuation of Chief Mancini.
Thank you to the administration. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, just want to thank the Assistant Chief for wishing to continue his service with our fire department. And at this time, Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Before we get to council member communications, why don't we go back to page 3? And at this time, we will take public comment on any undocketed matters. Same is true if you are in chambers or on Zoom. If you can please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes or less. Is there anyone in chambers who wishes to be heard on any undocketed matters this evening? There being no one, Tom, is there anyone on Zoom?
I see no public comment.
At this time, public comment on undocketed matters is now closed. Next, on page 4, we will continue with communications. We're on to council member communications. Councilman Donegan.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. I had asked for this to be on the agenda after the October Finance Committee meeting. Was able numerous conversations with the administration, the school department, as well as Council President, Finance Department. Because Director Zadelis isn't here this evening, to know, not that that's an issue, but I think this is probably a conversation best had in finance, knowing some of the updates that we received. I think Director Moretti, he's still working to finalize the number from the meeting last week. Is that correct?
Yes, I have some numbers, but if you prefer, which I respect, referring to finance, I believe he is prepared to come forward. Didn't realize this evening it would be required, but either way, I'd be prepared to give a decent overview. But if you want to hear it out of his mouth, I respect that too.
Because some of the other people who aren't also not here, I prefer for it to wait until finance, if that's okay.
Fine from the administration. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Clerk, if we could place this on the Finance Committee agenda.
Thank you, Councilman Donegan. Next, Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. I bring this topic again before the council to have a discussion after many of my constituents with childhood. And also, I have some questions, some clarifications, that I need. I'm sad, disappointed, and outraged. For me, it is hard really to swallow this proposal. Despite all of the information we have in hands that show there is inaccuracy on the decision of not repairing the pool. But at the last meeting where we have the resolution, we propose a compromise. It wasn't what we want, but they proposed 11,000 square feet. I really believe that's something we can meet some halfway. The administration can meet halfway with the council. How on earth that the administration based this plan on all the inaccuracies and not listening? So my question, as I thinking through, it is really mind-boggling for me to understand that the pool has never been drained by any expert whatsoever. And a report stated that the pool is leaking. So for anyone who has their mind can make that guess, how could it be? So if you do not join it, and at the last report we have, when we asked the question to the expert on building pool, did he go to the pool? Did he join the pool? No, he said no. How did you have the information about the pool? Oh, a staff member told me. So that's for me is a problem. I cannot in my conscience to swallow it without asking why. Is that how politics works? We know the truth. We don't just close our eyes and we do not base our decision on what is supposed to be transparent. So my question is why the administration chose not to listen to the people and the council to the compromise for 11,000 square feet. A lot of our constituents are sad. They are mad, they are sad, I am too. And it feels like, is it how we operate? And it's just, my heart is just broken. It's just like a sentiment. I am not at ease. I don't feel it's right. I don't feel it's right. Is it? I don't know. I'm not a politician who has experience, but I don't know. Is it right to know the pool can be fixed? We can save money, but we choose not to fix it and base our decision on something that is not completely fact-based. We said the pool is leaking, but the evidence show no, because we do not have an expert that goes into the pool that said it is. We said, we can repair it. We have money to repair it. We cannot repair it. We agree, okay, we cannot repair it. For what reason? Because it's leaking, because it has so much problem. We can rebuild it. Yes, okay, we can rebuild it. Let we build something that can meet our expectation halfway. That's how government works. We compromise. But I really don't understand the announcement by the administration, they move forward with 8,000 square feet pool. From 22,000 square feet to 8,000. How in the past years we could handle 22,000 square feet where we had less people in the city. Now we have 83,000 people and we make it the pool, we want to make the pool smaller. That's what I don't understand. I would like to someone to explain that narrative. How could it be possible in the 21st century where we have more people in our city, where the demand are more and more, when we have hot summer more and more, and we choose to reduce the size of the pool because we say we can't or we don't want. Is it true we can't in the 21st century? What we could do, that means Queenston is going backward. So we're not moving forward, we're going backward. Because what Queenston could afford 50 years ago cannot afford it now in the 21st century. And that's for me, it's mind-boggling. I can't understand it. I would like, it is, I know I've been labeled political, whatever, but I want to know this has nothing to do with politics. Nothing with partisanship. It is a fair questions, transparency, accountability. This is what I am looking for. How we can explain to our children, our youth, all the school who could utilize the pool for summer camps, to tell them now, we can't afford it. We can't afford 22,000, even though we can't afford 11,000 because we're going backward. We're not moving forward. There is no progress in Queenston. Is that what we want to tell our youth? I don't think so. But someone must to answer this question. How we doing in Queenston? How we doing? Right? The second largest city in Rhode Island. So 50 years ago, we were flourishing. We could afford to give the resident of Queenston, all ages, a place to socialize. Now we want to put a 8,000 square pool where they can come like sardines, right? So that's what we can afford right now. So I have many questions of those. I hope they can answer those questions for me. How are we doing in Queenston in the 21st century? Why the administration cannot compromise with the council to make it halfway? We pass a resolution, we all say, let's meet halfway. So what is the narrative to tell? Okay, we base our decision because we have an agenda. We base our decision because we're really in bad shape. Or we make the decision because we are the autocrat, we are the boss, we don't listen, we do whatever we want. Or as we have the power to do whatever we want, we do not want to work together to have something that will meet everyone halfway. That's what we call compromise. So I know I have been putting this topic on the docket for many, many times. And I was called to put it again, and I was thinking to put it, and this question, and I asked them not only for myself, I asked these questions for my constituents. I asked this question for people who cannot afford to go to be to the beach, who cannot afford to have a pool in the backyard. So that's why today I want to know, with integrity, honesty, how are we doing in Princeton?
Director Moretti?
Thank you very much. There's a lot packed into the multi-question. I'd be more than happy to answer, summarize. I, in fact, appreciate the opportunity to do so, and hopefully I'll answer every one of your questions. If I leave anything unanswered, please ask me if I miss something. First of all, Mayor Hopkins wants to do what's right for the city of Cranston. The people who are vocal about the pool, the people who haven't, about the taxpayers, the residents, the students. He's not doing it for him. He's doing it for the city and what he thinks is the best interest of all involved. A few things to mention, though, is he highly relied upon one of the foremost experts in the field of aquatic design and engineering by hiring the firm of Weston and Sampson. The mayor never knew the firm of Weston and never dealt with them to my knowledge. Certainly did not have any contact or about Mr. Mariano, who was the person who's leading the design team and engineering team for that pool. He did feel as if it was an independent choice. There's no campaign contributions involved. Figures go to one of the experts renowned around the country, possibly in different circles around the world. So he thought he relied on a good individual in terms of that person's expertise. Given all that, in terms of compromise, I think it's a big issue here with the council, the councilwoman. Understand that the council did have a resolution for 11,000 proposing or asking for an 11,000 square foot pool. The mayor has to work with, from the city council, $4.7 million. An 11,000 square foot pool is estimated to cost $6.5 million, nearly $2 million more than he's authorized to spend. It's difficult it's impossible for the mayor to compromise at 11,000 square feet. If funding was available to do so, he would have done so. It's not available. That's a real important point to make. It's not because of obstinate, it's not because of disagreement. It's because he's allowed $4.7 million. And you agree with that. You were part of authorizing that, councilwoman, and this entire council, I believe, unanimous. So that is why it's not proposed to be, or it's not going to be an 11,000 square foot pool, because he's not authorized, and it's not, and it would be, he can't do it. I think we all understand, and that's black and white. I don't think there's much of a controversy about that. So with that, though, after that resolution, which the mayor took highly seriously, along with the 15 other forums held with the public, his direction to Mr. Mariano was, for the city of Cranston, let's construct a pool that will max out at $4.7 million. Mr. Mariano and Weston and Sampson came back at a pool the size of 8,000 square feet. If that pool was to 11,000 square foot, it would be an 11,000 square foot. It was 4,000. It would be a 4,000 square foot pool. But Weston and Sampson came back and says, Mayor, you can build an 8,000 square foot pool for the money that the city council gave you, and along with the grant. That is why it's an 8,000 square foot pool, not an 11,000 square foot pool, nor a 7,000 square foot pool. I think that's really important to note, that we're not disagreeing with each other. It's maybe understanding each other. And I think that's a critical thing to note in this entire process. Also, in terms of repairing the existing pool, the cost is coming in to repair that pool again above the amount allotted at between $5 and $5.3 million. That repair of the pool is estimated to last approximately 10 years versus a new pool, which is estimated to last well above 40 years. Economically, for the taxpayers, for the users of that pool, he made the decision, and you could put this on him. Well, first of all, you couldn't, because the city could not afford to refurbish the existing pool because it's over the $4.7 million. So that also was eliminated on that. But more importantly, in my mind, that choice is eliminated because the pool would have a life of 10 years. When you could have a pool that will cost less money within budget to last for over 40 years. I think it's important to understand and communicate this logic. And that's what went into the mayor's mind when making that decision. And certainly he listened to everyone. He listened to Mrs. Blake. He listened to Ms. Rosenberg and everyone else that was there. And that's why his direction was, build me the biggest pool the city can buy for the money that he has. And it so happened to be 8,000 square foot. He was willing to, against his judgment about maintenance costs, lifeguards, staffing, to go above what he was thinking in terms of affordability long-term for the city, in the spirit of compromise, to go with the largest pool possible. It's really important to note. I don't think this council, at the end of the day, and let's face it, there was a lot of spirited debate on both sides. But at the end of the day, we're trying to really do the same thing and do the best thing for the city. What's really nice is the pool house is going to remain. It's going to be refurbished, but I think that's a real nice structure to look back and say that still remains. The rest of it, and I don't want to just diminish this, but it's a hole in the ground. But you have that beautiful upright historic structure that's still going to remain. So it's not going to be totally gone. In fact, I believe the same cobblestone that structure is made out of was actually the original lining of the pool, if I have my history correct. But so there's no malintent here. In terms of summer camps, this pool will provide for summer camps. That was absolutely a must. You've mentioned a couple of points. I just want to address them a bit scattered, but as I wrote them down as you were speaking. In terms of capacity, the capacity should be about 530 people, given the guidelines from, I believe it's the state and all aquatic standards, up to 530 people. Analyzing the tracking the statistics of pool usage and the facility usage at peak, I believe at one point for 1 hour of one season in the last 3 years was approximately 400 people attended the facility at one time. The next hour, that number went down to about 275 people. If we have a pool for capacity of 530, we feel that pool would be sufficient size to be able to handle any capacity that we're facing. And that was over 3 years. We're looking at this information. Excuse me, my handwriting isn't too good. In terms of the pool about not draining, if you wish, we'll drain the pool. If you want us to do it and just to see what happens, if the experts are telling us it's groundwater, the people who have worked on the pool before, the person who actually put that liner in represented to the mayor of what that was. The engineer is representing that water source is coming up from the ground. If you want that pool drained, we'll go through that. It'll cost some money, but the mayor will go through that exercise to show you visibly. Just a point to note, just the other day, Director Tasalia was at the pool for a reason, and he found a checklist, an old checklist used by the Parks and Recreation Department staff. And one of the items on that checklist was to ensure that the person last leaving the pool, that they make sure that the hose from the pool house goes into the pool and turning on the spigot that has to be turned on to fill the pool every day. And that was going anywhere between 12 and 15 hours a day that pool was being filled with water. Just another anecdotal fact that this checklist, it's not proven, it's not statistical, but to show every day, at least for 12 hours a day, that pool needed to be filled. Those, I think those were I think those are all the points that you pretty much addressed. But I think most importantly, I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to come together. And I don't think our differences are as big as people might think it is.
Thank you, Director Moretti. You just give me a new information that I didn't have. Probably, I don't know if any other council member has this information. So you mentioned, what you said here is the administration, the Mayor Hopkins choose to go with 8,000 square feet because of money. So is that correct?
That is correct.
That correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So after we passed the resolution and we asked to have this compromise for 11,000, did the administration reach out to the council to say, hey, I would like to do this 11,000, would you give me the money? Because what we have now cannot do it. Did the administration reach out to the council and the council say no? Was that discussed? Because I don't know, I didn't know about that.
The mayor had the directive of a budget of $4.7 million. He's not going to come back and ask for another $2 million. There comes a point, what can the taxpayers in the city afford? And he has to also represent them, just instead of just having an arbitrary pool size that so happened to be not 20, halfway between 0 and 22,000 square feet.
Okay.
Feeling for all the other reasons that we justified in terms of capacity, that it's more than adequate for
I
that amount of
understand.
money.
Director Moretti, how much money did Mayor Hopkins put on the capital budget for the pool? Because that was the money that was in the capital budget that we didn't. So we take this money from ARPA because we didn't want the taxpayers pay for a bond. We passed a resolution to say, let's use ARPA money for Budlong Pool. Now, and I remember in the budget, it's the administration that put $4 million for the pool. So that was last April this year, where at that time, I am sure the administration knew already how much the rebuilding will cost, because tell me, I may be wrong. You may not have the budget yet, not budget, the proposal from the architect firm, but you are the one that put $4 million in the budget, right? So, and there is $750,000 from the federal grant. So that makes it $4,750,000. And Dr. Moretti, we have the record where we have from the information we have, 2 companies. The first company the administration hired give a range between 2.4 to do the pool. They have this money, 3.5. Dr. Moretti, if the administration has the will to compromise with us, to work with us, to meet us halfway, I think the demand should come before the council, say, hey, this is why. So it's not a press release that will come out, I decide to move ahead. Or maybe I don't know, because mostly I'm left behind when there is things happening. Maybe I didn't know. So I would like to know if any council here receive a note from the administration that says, I take into consideration the resolution, but after I look at the budget, I see we do not have the money. Would you willing to add more money, as we have some ARPA money left? How much money we have left from ARPA money? Because don't tell me this is not a bond money. This is a one on a lifetime opportunity. We can do something for the people in concern with the poor. So now, with this information, Director, you tell me, you said the administration wanted to compromise, but they don't have the money. Did the administration, because we could authorize in the remaining ARPA money to give that money. We could do that. I will. If the administration say, okay, I want to work with you, but when we realize we need you said 6.5, we have 4.750, and we have remaining in ARPA money. So please tell me, did the administration come ask the council to make a deal how we can do that, this 11 square feet? Because at the end of the day, when a Council Ferry proposed the amendment because originally the resolution says repair, fix, but long pole. And Council Ferry come with a compromise, said, let's make it 12,000. It's not what we want, but let's make it. And we supported that. That means the desire to work together to achieve something that not all of us will be happy, but at least that will meet us, that will make it halfway. But now when you tell me, Director Moite, that the mayor would do that, but he didn't because of the money, tell me if the mayor asked the council, because we have the authority, we could reject it, we could approve it. Did we have this opportunity before the press release?
The mayor respected the city council and is acting upon what the city council has given him. If the city council wanted the number to be higher, the city council should deliberate that. Something to keep in mind too, there's other considerations. Capital can be spent in many, many ways. We just came upon knowledge that we believe, and I believe some people would be supporting additional money for school bonds. Probably the mayor would also want to balance education in those school buildings with recreation in the city of Cranston. I think everyone here has that responsibility to balance it. It's not just an open checkbook. Now, you want a pool at 11,000 square feet that can handle over 700 capacity at one time. When peak capacity at one day for 1 hour was approximately 400 individuals, and at peak average every season was 150 people. So you're saying you want to build a pool to handle over 700 people, to overspend the budget, add a couple of $1 million when we have a peak in the season, 150 people attending. That's for this council to deliberate.
Now you add another thing, council. Let's say the cost council, empty council, Director Moite. So one thing, you cannot mix potato, cornmeal, we're not doing, in Haiti, we have those things, chaka, we call it, we put a lot of different things together. We are at one question. So let's solve this one question. And then after, if you have other things that comes along, we can discuss it. So the one question I have, because you said it, when I asked about why the administration did not make this compromise, why he chose to move ahead without any consideration for the resolution. You said the mayor would, but he didn't have the money. And I said, did he ask the council for the money? Now, just answer this question. You don't mix other things. After the thing can come, but now that's the question only I ask. Because I heard you said it, we want to work together. We do not disagree, but when you take this, because we as the council has the authority to authorize or not authorize. So I would feel more comfortable if the mayor showed that he wanted to work with us and discuss, he said, hey, 11,000 square feet, this is what it was. Would you give it to me? Now, if we said no, he will say, okay, from what we have, we cannot afford 11,000 because we asked the council, they couldn't give it to us, or we do not have it. They didn't give it to me, so I'm moving ahead. That's where I am. That's where I am, because the council spoke. We spoke when we passed the resolution. We spoke in the name of our constituent.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Germain. I understand that this is your topic. I've allowed a lot of back and forth between you and Director Moretti. We've discussed this for a half hour plus at this point. I think your points have been well made. The administration's points have been made, but I would like to move on from this topic at this time. Does anyone else on council wish to be heard on this topic? Councilman Wall.
I'm used to sitting over there on that side of the aisle, hearing this discussion. And when I listened to Director Moretti tonight speak, it was a very nice tone. And I believe the mayor wants to do the best by the people. But I too, as my colleague said, I feel uneasy with the proposal. I spent months talking to people on the campaign trail, even in Ward 6, people talking about the fact that they wanted to see the pool repaired. They wanted a pool of the existing size. Went to council meetings, spoke here, went to community meetings, and spoke to a lot of people. And it's what was clear to me, and there's a lot of questions here. What was clear to me is this, that right now there's a serious, from what I can see, a serious lack of trust in what's coming out from the administration about the Budlong pool, about what our options are. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and I would count myself among those people, that with that lack of trust, you can't just say, repeat the same thing over and over again and then say, trust me. People are calling for an independent assessment of this situation. And I would mark myself as one of those people. Now, I start with the pretty much direct question. I've spoke to Mr. Angel. Mr. Angel, as a council, legally, do we have the authority to do that?
As in any situation where it's a capital improvement, the council's purview is in the grant of authority and in the appropriation. If in granting authority to construct a treehouse, this council authorized the administration to spend $4.7 million to construct a treehouse. with no parameters on what the tree house is to look like, or how many square feet it's supposed to be, and how many people it's supposed to hold, then the administration is free to use their discretion to build the tree house for 4.7 million. If the council wanted to see a pool of a particular size and a particular shape and of a particular color with umbrellas and whatever else not, then that very easily could have been put in the grant of authority to spend the $4.7 million. And if it couldn't have been done for that, then it would have been incumbent upon the administration to come back and ask for more, just say, well, it simply can't be done for that. As far as oversight goes, the council certainly does have oversight with respect to overspending of budgets and things of that nature. With that said, however, to suggest that the town go out and hire its own engineer and its own experts or its own construction consultant, I beg your pardon, the city council, that's a legislative overstep. There's been no proof of misfeasance or malfeasance with respect to the expenditure of public funds. That really is the touchstone for legislative investigatory powers into actions taken by the executive branch. If that information were to come forward, then the council would be within its rights. With that said, the council has only a few buckets of money from which to draw money with respect to, whether it be investigations, consultants, or expenditures unanticipated within a fiscal year. You have council orders, and right now you have the unicorn of ARPA money. Those are the buckets you have. If it's an emergency, then that's a different decision tree. That would be before the council, but that's not where you are right now. I mean, in fairness, the horse has left the gate. Does that answer your question?
Very clearly. Thank you. Crystal clear. So, just to finish up and not belabor this point, as the council president said, we've been on it a while. That exchange with Mr. Moretti started and discussed, I want to work with, I want to compromise. I didn't hear a lot of that over the summer, I'm telling you. I didn't hear a lot of that. And it's not an interrogation, but this discussion, the idea of going back and saying, well, it would have cost a little bit more, at least going back and having that discussion, I think would have went a long way. I can't speak for my colleagues on the council, but I know as a member of the public at that time, that would have been a long way for me. Good government isn't about pounding your fist and saying, I'm right. It's about working together with people, working together with people here. And I'm not going to lecture, but also working with people in the public. And that's what I'd like to see. I won't philosophize any longer. Thank you.
If I could please make comment, the mayor did have, not going to name any particular council people, Republican and Democrat. The mayor did have discussions about before the decision was made, if there was general concurrence about building and constructing the largest pool possible for $4.7 million, and people on both sides agreed in conversation with the mayor. So he did have that cooperation. It was a lot more open than you thought. There was nothing hidden. There was nothing hidden. The discussions were here. I think there's this misnomer that things have been not transparent. That's a key buzzword. That should be dispelled, okay? I think it was let's face it, it was highly partisan discussion. I think you would agree, Mr. Wall, and everyone in this council, it was a very partisan discussion. It was objective in the same respect, very spirited, but there was nothing deceiving from either side. There's nothing, the mayor doesn't feel the council had anything up their sleeves. And it's a shame if people think the opposite. And the mayor had plenty of discussions about this, a lot more than you think, about people coming into the office, people who worked on that pool before, the mayor's getting their input. There was much more to it than you think behind the scenes. And remember, there were over 15 public forums on this. If you don't think it was public dialogue, you should have attended all those meetings, frankly. There were a lot of meetings on this pool, including tonight. I don't know what else to say. If people are locked into their opinions, they're locked into their opinions. And about compromise, the mayor compromised to listen to that council resolution, along with the cost that he had, and he felt he was doing the right thing. To say go back and ask for a couple of more $1 million, there comes a point, how much money do you want to spend on this pool to house over 700 people when there's 140 at peak using the pool? Common sense at a point has to prevail. The taxpayers have to have that money in mind. And you just don't think it's just free money, because there could be other uses of those funds. So there's nothing nefarious that's been going on behind the scenes, I assure you.
Thank you, Director Marty. Any further discussion from council members? Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Thank you, Madam President. I will try to be brief, but I think a few more minutes after doing this for, I don't know how long we've been doing this, but I feel like it's been a year, but maybe it's only been 6 months. I don't know. But I just want to say that when we had that resolution, the compromise resolution, I am not on the finance committee. Nobody liked when I said it, but I did say, do we know if we can fund this compromise? Because if we're putting forth something that we're asking the mayor to do when we don't know, if we haven't gotten the answer to that question yet, then we are maybe getting the hopes up of our constituencies that we can do this with the money that we allotted. No one knew the answer at that point in time, and I respected the effort of the compromise, but I did vocalize this. At the next meeting, I got those answers. I didn't get those answers because I'm special or Republican. I got the answers because I asked the right people multiple times. I brought them, I printed them for everybody for transparency purposes and to save everybody from public records requests. I thought that that was the right thing to do. Again, I said, it doesn't appear as though we can fund this compromise. I said again, you can pass this anyway because the numbers, it's 6-3, you can do that, but that doesn't mean that we can fund it. If at that point in time, we wanted to do that and we knew we couldn't fund it, we were essentially giving like an unfunded mandate, not really a mandate because a resolution is non-binding, to the mayor. He didn't ask for that. We asked for it. So if you guys want to give $2 million more, go for it. If you want to give $4 million more and refurbish the entire pool to last 40 years and make the pool house bigger and will be out of ARPA funds, go for it. But what are we doing? This has been going on for a long time. We want a pool next year. Attorney Angel just said we cannot authorize an independent study. We are fooling ourselves and fooling our constituencies with asking for things that are not possible. If we want to put our money where our mouth is, then someone put forth a resolution saying we want to give X amount of more money. But then we're not going to be able to put playgrounds in every ward. That's all I have to say. I understand Councilwoman Germain more than anyone wants this pool and for the right reasons. But I don't think that anyone's going to put forth that we want to give more money to this. I don't think the taxpayers want to pay more money for this. And I don't think the people who want a 22,000 square foot pool are going to be happy with 11,000 square feet anyway. Let's get a pool open next summer and let's stop talking about this for the rest of the term, please. Thank you.
Councilman Ferry.
I'll be quick. Just looking at this from a business standpoint, and I'll use this as an example. Let's say the fire chief wanted to buy a new fire truck, and he goes to a place that sells fire trucks, and the fire trucks he's looking at is $3 million, but the price tag is not on it. It's $3 million. And the guy selling the fire truck says to the fire chief, "How much money do you want to spend?" And he goes, $4.7 million. Guess how much that fire truck's going to cost? $4.7 million. So I don't know how in the world we know that an 11,000 square foot pool does or does not cost $4.7 million because we've never gone through a bidding process to get a bid on an 11,000 square foot pool. I don't want an answer to the question. I'm just giving you my respect as a business person. When you want to get something built, you never tell people how much money you want to spend before you build it. You wait until they give you the price and then you say, well, this is all I have to spend. And that's not the way we're approaching this. We're telling people we want to spend $4.7 million and they're telling us this is all you're going to get for $4.7 million. Obviously, that's all you're going to get because you didn't shop right. You didn't get the bidding process done right. You didn't pull a rectangular pool off the shelf that looks like a bowling alley. Thank you.
Councilman Donegan.
Thank you. Director Moretti, when are the bids have gone, or it's gone out to bid, correct?
No,
When do you expect it to go out to bid?
we're waiting, we're pressuring the architects, engineers to develop the bid specifications to be able to go out to bid. They're telling us sometime in December. We're pressing as early as possible. But so we are pressing. They don't give us a firm date. They're saying sometime in December, but I can't tell you that until we actually get the bid specifications.
Can I ask those specifications, is it going to specify for 1,000 square foot pool, or is it going to request as large a pool as can, we've got $4.7 million. How big of a pool can you give us?
Okay, I think we all need to look back. Gladstone School is going to cost $83 million. How do we know it's $83 million? Have they
If I
gone out
can,
to
Director
bid?
Moretti, that's being advised by council, that's not on the agenda,
okay,
so
okay,
so
I'll
please
narrow
keep
it.
to the topic at
I'll
hand.
narrow it.
Thanks.
Whether it be the pool or any other facility, you don't know until the bids come in. So what happens is the architects, the engineers, as they develop the plans, given their experiences, given their contacts, they do their own quotations that they will get from these suppliers, the construction people, et cetera, to develop these bids as any other schools as anywhere else. As for roads, for anything the city does, we don't know the cost until it's for bid, but you have to make business decisions on these estimated costs. So anytime we're saying it's going to cost 4.7, maybe not. But based on the expertise of the people we're relying upon, these professionals, they come pretty darn close. So based on that history, based on industry standards, based on these experts, we're not making this up. It's process. It's the city of Cranston. It's the city of Warwick Province, the state of Rhode Island, and nationally. We're using the same standards, the same techniques, the same estimates, and they generally come out pretty close.
I'm not asking that question to try and impeach the integrity of Weston and Sampson. I was just genuinely inquiring into the bid specifications. I'm not trying to.
I think to answer your question, it is on an 8,000 square foot because Weston Sampson came back and said the biggest pool that can be bought for 4.7 is an 8,000 square foot pool. So they are designing that 8,000 square foot pool. They're going to come back with the actual engineer specs of what they do, their bid specs. They will hand those over to the person that gets the bid. Those are the construction documents. That's what we're paying for.
Thank you.
Any other council members who have not been heard wish to be heard on the subject? No? Okay, moving on. Councilman Jermaine, we're gonna move on. Council Vice President Vargas. It's your council member communications. Thank you.
Good evening. I'll start off with first asking the administration, I'm going to flip it with the winter warming centers across the city. To the administration, I know that last year the warming center that we used was over in Saconaset or in Cranston Library. I sent an email to the director today of the library. I was just wondering, is there any way to actually operate or have a winter warming center at the William Hall Library? I don't know what operation that takes on behalf of the city. Same time, just like the Saconaset one, it only works during actual business hours. I don't know what procedure. I know Winter Hall has its own board, so I'm just curious.
Oh, we'll be with you on that. In fact, I spoke to the fire chief. He's under the understanding that Hall would or could be very much available along with Central. Those would be the two primary libraries. As need demands, we could actually extend it into other libraries also. But that would be the plan along with the senior center as a warming center.
Okay, all right, great. Keep me posted so that way if there's
Okay.
any communication that goes out as we approach winter season. Like to make sure that, everybody else is in the know in terms of when the warming centers are opening up across the city. Thank you.
Sure.
The other item that I have on here is more so of an announcement. So this Saturday, for anyone that's watching or the council members as well, Patuxent Village, the Friends of Patuxent Village is actually having their annual Halloween happenings. It starts off at 1:15 at Patuxent Park and it ends over in Cranston. Really nice event. Cranston Police is always on deck helping out. So I appreciate the police department for helping out. Armin, you're more than welcome to have the fire department there as well, just in case. Don't want to leave anybody out. But it truly is a nice event with a lot of the community, particularly the small businesses, all hand out candy to our kids in the community from 1 o'clock until like 3 o'clock. And then there's pumpkin painting as well that is taking place in the village. So just wanted to kind of share that announcement in terms of things that are happening this weekend, and wishing everyone a happy Halloween.
Before I go to the next one, Ron, do you need a break? All right, okay. Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you. Mine are just updates that I would like from the administration. An update on the Learn 365 RI funding. That would be the $50,000 exactly. If you could give us an update on how that's being used and if it's been successful. And then just a general status of open grant applications. Thank you.
The two grants, the two Learn 65s, I refer as Learn 365, the $50,000 grant, which I believe we spoke about. If I recall, we have received that opportunity for I always say it incorrectly, FAFSA forms for applications, helping the kids out and the families out with their applications. And the key thing is the school attendance.
Is that operational? Is it happening currently? Are we helping people with FAFSA forms yet? Or is that coming in
We're
February?
going to be working with the schools to develop the best way of utilizing that $50,000.
Okay, so there's nothing set in stone yet for that?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Thank you. And then, so I'd just like to keep that on the agenda going forward. I'd just like to know how it's working. I work with a lot of high school kids. I'd like to tell them where they can get there.
Yeah, we'll want to
With their
work with the
FAFSAs.
school department on that at least.
And then just the status of any open grant applications that we currently have and any,
Yeah, the facilities grant was submitted, I think the Friday before last. The city at this time has an opportunity up to $6.9 million, as you know, for a community center. A grant has been submitted to construct a facility, approximately 8,500 square feet, is again estimating that that's the biggest bang that we could get for that money on city-owned property to be determined. So more work would have to be done, more input with the council, the public, to determine the best facility, best place if there would be a facility to be built, and certainly any construction be approved by the council.
okay, thank you. Are there any other applications that the grant writer has in for anything that you know of that you can share that we haven't received an answer for yet? Because I'm assuming, I don't know, you get these kind of on a rolling basis.
The grant, I don't remember off the top of my head. I was associating Learn 365 with other grant opportunities. I misread that to think it's 365. I haven't spoken to the grant writer. She's the council grant writer. Obviously, she works close with us. I'm not sure. I can't swear to what that might be outstanding at this time. Council President may know.
The grant writer needs to get approval from the administration to proceed with any grant applications because the administration comes from.
Yeah.
The information comes directly from the administration. While there has been talk about and in public meetings about the Parks and Rec grants potentially, the administration would know better than me if there's been any
Yeah.
specific coordination to get her that information so that those could be applied for, although there is still time. I believe the deadline is in December. So
Yeah.
there's nothing directly from me that I have seen where applications have actually proceeded.
Yeah, I apologize. I associated that second item with 365.
Is it possible that we keep this on here and if it would so behoove the finance chair, because I'm not on finance, if this could be added to the finance agenda, just so that we stay up to date on it, make sure that we apply for the things that have December deadlines.
To that point, I'm not sure, Councilwoman Renzulli, if you were here for the last Finance Committee meeting. The grant writers surrogate appeared and gave a presentation so that,
I just kind of want to know what we win, basically, what grants were awarded and then how it's gonna go forward.
And the other thing, I know that I've asked the administration for, and it was continued from last month to this coming Finance Committee meeting about grant funding in the city. So, but go ahead, Director Moretti.
Okay, yeah, sure. I was gonna say, I can contact Lisa. And I can report in an email back to people at the same time. If you're happy to do that also.
That would be great.
All right. Moving on. Next, we have introduction of new business. Oh,
I'm sorry, I just wanted to remind Finance Chair Donegan about amending that item of finance that you referred. It's not the same as what's on the agenda. Councilman, if you want me to recap what we discussed at the sidebar, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. What I, in my notes for next finance, the language that I'm gonna ask when reviewing the docket would be school construction update and potential additional bonding.
and that reminds me of something else before I get to introduction of new business. Councilman Donegan is Chair of the Finance. It was brought to my attention earlier today that an item coming out of committee did not make it to the agenda. It was just a clerical error. Dealing with a resolution, dealing with the heads that passed out of finance, correct?
Yes, it did
Yeah.
unanimously.
Okay, so we'll have to schedule perhaps a special session, perhaps before the next Finance Committee meeting so that the full council can vote on that. But we'll talk about that. I just want to make that clear. That was just an error, but we're not going to be able to hear it tonight. Okay, not on your part, Councilman Donegan. No, not at all. No. Okay. All right, next up, introduction of new business. Do I have a motion to take these matters as a block?
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, I have a motion to move these matters as a block as new business to their respective committees.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? No. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. And next, we have executive session. Do I have a motion? We have on the agenda an update on yard works. This is pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5 subsection A subsection 2. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas. Council President Marino.
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas, Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Motion,
Sorry, motion to seal the minutes now that we're out of executive session.
Second. Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano, Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Council President Marino.
Yes.
motion to adjourn?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Good night.